Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me here. And wherever you happen to find yourself on your spiritual journey, welcome to A Course in Miracles. Hmm. Yeah, let's talk about something very foundational today. When don't we? Well, that's a great question. We always do. But it's worth our time considering what has us all on the spiritual path to begin with? And I'm not talking about just a student of this course. I'm talking about spirituality in general. Whether you're a student of A Course in Miracles or not, that actually makes no difference. Let's back all the way up, which is something we don't usually do. We usually hone in on specific ideas or specific practices or both in our discussions about spirituality and just go forth. But let's back all the way up. Why are we on this path anyway? I mean, it certainly appears to be a path, and well, let's just call it that for sake of teaching and learning purposes. Why are we on it? What has us setting foot on this journey? What propelled us to do it in the first place when we could so easily refrain from doing it and choose to go back to the way things were before you embarked on this journey? So, what is that actually? Well, it may appear to be a mystery or a conundrum, one of these deep, imponderable situations that just is. It's tempting for us to say, well, I'm on this path because, well, I don't really know. Hmm. I've just been drawn to it. I've just been called to it. I don't really know why. And we may tell ourselves that. There's a definite answer as to why you're on this path, same as why I'm on it and anyone else. I mean, after all, we're all here paying attention to this particular message, this particular channel out of all the stuff that's out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. And here you are. We're all on the spiritual path because we have heard the call of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, to awaken. This call can appear to take many forms, hence the myriad spiritual traditions and modalities that appear to exist here on Wobbling Spinning Ball of Rock. It's a lot. Those are simply differences in outward form. The essence, the meaning, the content is exactly the same. We're all on the spiritual path because we have heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken. Quite simply, there is no mystery in that. That's why you're interested in spirituality. That's the reason. That's why we're all here. We have heard the call. You have heard the call to awaken, and you have listened to the call. It's universal. It goes out to each and every one of us at all times. Why would that be? The Holy Spirit's part of you. It's part of our mind. So, of course, everyone gets the call. Are they listening? Well, you have been. You've been listening at many points, more than one, and you have answered it. Not only have you heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken, you have answered the call, which is huge. It's monumental. If you want to talk orders of magnitude here in terms that the world recognizes, it's beyond that. It's bigger, more important, and way, way, way more powerful. So I thank you for doing exactly what you've done and you're continuing to do, obviously, by watching this video. This course doesn't mess around. It's good. Haven't we all dithered enough? So let's talk about yet another foundational idea here from A Course in Miracles. As we go through the text, you'll find that it's just a few paragraphs at a time. In fact, each and every paragraph, every sentence indeed of the text of A Course in Miracles contains the entirety of the thought system. It's all there. All of the seemingly disparate parts contain, and they contain the whole. Every single little part contains the entirety of the thought system. So it would make sense that there's so much to talk about in just a few paragraphs that it would require an entire 20 to 30-minute conversation, or more than one, as the case may be. So if you're following along as we progress through the text of the course, we're on chapter 25, section 7 now. Paragraphs 1 through 4. To be specific, we have sometimes these inklings to get really, really specific and detailed in the world. Well, chapter 25, section 7, paragraphs 1 through 4, which you'll note says something that the Course says throughout, repetitively, multiple times for our adult learning stubbornness and edification. Yeah. So again, we see in these few paragraphs a very important idea, a very important thing to recognize. We all have a choice in the present moment. We have one choice, not 8 billion, one choice in the present moment between two things, just two. One choice, two options. These options are ways of seeing everything. They are completely 100% diametrically opposed to one another and do not recognize one another at all. They don't communicate. So we're choosing one or the other. And our choice is total. Total. Which you might think would make this choice very, very critically important. Well, it is. So, what exactly is this? Well, it's our choice right now in the present moment between God or the ego, between the Holy Spirit or the ego, between truth or illusion, light or dark, self with a capital S or little lowercase ego self, individual self-sustaining survival unit, doing pitched battle with all of our supposedly separate brothers for what we deem to be scarce resources on wobbling, spinning ball of rock, spinning out of control and exhausted. How about that? Again, you've heard the call to awaken. That's why you're here. This is the choice that we make in the present moment. We get to make this choice. And if you choose not to choose, that's a choice. It's a choice for the ego, isn't it? Yeah, ego doesn't want to hear that. Too bad. Too bad. We've all been listening to this voice long enough. We could choose otherwise. And incidentally, of course, we've chosen to listen to the voice of separation, guilt, fear, as opposed to the Holy Spirit, love. Yeah, well, I mean, we've made this choice so often that we appear to be here in this form. We think it's us. We mistake this compound structure that's 80% water, more or less, for the Son of God. Yet we deep down know there's more to it than that. Again, you've been listening to the call of our inner teacher to awaken. One of the forms this may take is in the recognition that there's more to it than just eating, breathing, drinking water, going to sleep and going to the bathroom, getting up the next day and doing the same thing all over again, over and over again until this thing loses its umph gradually over time or very abruptly and goes bye-bye. Yeah, yeah, there's more to it. Way more to it than that. Yeah. This course invites us to get right back to the basics all the time. It's what we overlook. It's what we should be paying attention to. Yeah, always. So we're invited to. You're invited to. You could choose not to. It's your choice. Again, we all have this choice. And so what if we've chosen wrongly in the past? The past is gone. Another obvious statement that we would readily agree to in a context such as this. Of course, that makes sense. The past is gone, yet we don't live our lives as though it were, do we? Same with the future, which isn't here. It's not here, which we would readily accept in a context such as this, in a talk, a spiritual talk, or a workshop, or something like that. Yet when we leave, when we get up off the cushion, so to speak, when we get up off the mat and go live life, it is as though we were never in the conversation to begin with because we dwell on the past and obsess over the future, and we're anywhere but the present moment, which is what we have. It's what we all have. And it is right here, right now that we choose. So if you've chosen the ego in the past, choose the Holy Spirit right now. Forgive yourself. Forgive your brother. Choose the Holy Spirit right now. Choose love instead of fear. That may take any number of outside forms. The content is exactly the same. Choosing love and not fear. This course reiterates this difference for our learning purposes, emphasizing the content and de-emphasizing the form. Hence, if you've seen these videos before, my reference to the physical body, this image as a pixelated image on your screen. Nothing. An assemblage of electronic dots. Anything that helps you to disidentify with the body and to identify with who and what you really are. And I know you know what that is. Go there. Yeah. Anything like that is helpful, especially repeated en masse, because we need it as adult learners, don't we? We most certainly do. So we appear to be in a real predicament here. This wobbling, spinning ball of rock appears to be concrete, solid, and real. And all of our suffering appears to be concrete, solid, and real. Our plight, our lot, our destiny, all appears to be concrete, solid, and real. We've reified everything here in the world. Why? Good question. Because we desperately want it to be true. It is not true. This course presents a completely different way of looking at everything. And deep down, you know it's not true. Again, you've heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken. You have formulated, whether you were consciously aware of it at the time or not, the wish to wake up. You have formulated the thought that you want the peace of God, which you do want. This is what we all want. No small wonder that it's what we all want when you consider that that's all there really is. Here's something that you may not have been taught growing up in not one but two fundamentalist Christian traditions in the United States, no less. I certainly wasn't taught this. That, however, is something that we can evaluate and set aside everything that we're conditioned to believe. I was taught, as I suspect many, if not most of you, were also taught, that God made the world. All the trees and the flowers, the beaches with a fabulous sunset, fantastic bottles of wine, and people and nation states and stuff like that. Yeah, he made it all. Oh, in 6 calendar days, no less. And on the seventh, the dude played golf. Well, here's something that may strike a chord. God did not make the world. How could he have possibly? Let me take you back to my experience in not one but two fundamentalist Christian traditions in the United States, no less. Right? By fundamentalist, I mean our building is superior to your building. Our building is the only building. You may look around and see lots of buildings, but they're not real buildings, and those other people don't exist. Our building is the only one. It's the only way. Hmm. That kind of mentality. Now, for me, it's proven to be a wonderful and large, rather large, forgiveness opportunity, as is everything that we experience that is not wholly joyous. This is something that the Course teaches us. Just a little bit of context for you from where pixelated image is coming from. I was one of those kids in Sunday school that sat there thinking, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't add up because, on the one hand, you're teaching me, incorrectly, as it turns out, that God is love. Of course, yes, not love as in our cut off little exclusive relationship kind of substitute for love that we see in the world and we call love and that they sing rock and roll songs about and country songs about and rap songs about and all that stuff. Not that. Love. It's abstract form. Love. God is love. I was taught that. I was also taught that the building that I went to was the only building and monopolized the truth, and everyone else was wrong. And even worse, they were destined to burn in a fiery hell. Why? Because they didn't go to our building. So I formulated this thought, which you may have formulated too. Why would this be? How could this possibly even be the case? Why would, and indeed, how could perfect love condemn? Does perfect love condemn? No, it's not possible. Does perfect love discriminate? No, absolutely not. It's not possible. So I didn't reconcile these wildly conflicting messages. And I was one of those kids that sat there thinking about what I was going to have for lunch or the hike that I was going to have when this was over, or on Sundays, the homework that I had to do for school the next day. Thought about pizza, thought about a football match or something. Anything, anything but the mass contradiction being fed to me, which I did not swallow. And many people that arrive at studying and practicing A Course in Miracles have the same experience. I just offer that for a bit of context in case you're wondering. And as far as why else I appear to be here, well, it's my own personal directive. We're invited to cultivate our relationship with the Holy Spirit, who's again part of you, part of our mind, and to listen to its guidance. Relax and trust its guidance and do as instructed. What you're watching and listening to is an instruction from the Holy Spirit. It only appears to be coming from this thing. Again, this is nothing. There's absolutely nothing special about the appearance of the messenger at all. Our issue here, so it appears, is that we want all of this to be real, yet we know it's not. And we're investing a great deal of effort and strain in attempting to make it real by choosing a new romantic partner, choosing a different house, choosing a different city to live in, choosing a different job, choosing a different shirt, a different jacket, a different this, a different modality, a different spiritual modality, a different spiritual modality. Ooh, the grass is greener over here. Well, that's hot, sexy, and shiny looking. Ooh, looks great on Instagram. Fantastic. Let me buy into that. Right? I mean, are you tired of that? If not, no problem. Keep going with it. You'll get tired of it. We all appear to be here because we have been listening to the Holy Spirit. And yes, it's true here in the world that it often takes something rather drastic for us to change course. Well, we're invited to change course. This course invites you to change the way you look at everything. In other words, to change your mind. God did not make this world. Therefore, it's not true. He didn't create this and play golf on Sunday after 6 days of intense labor, molding, looking back and thinking, oh, that's good. He didn't create inequality. He didn't create power struggles and power vacuums to be exploited by people. He didn't create any of that at all. So what does that mean? Since we appear to be here, we made it. And that does mean that we've been misusing our creative power by identifying as separate, by identifying as an individual ego. which we are not. We have made ourselves so habituated to this ego, accustomed to it, that we think it's us and we're struggling here on wobbling, spinning ball of rock and experiencing strain, extraordinary strain sometimes, because we desperately want untruth to be true. And all we really have to do is let it go and accept truth just as it is. It is precisely this that people find mortally threatening, existentially threatening, which is why there aren't 8+ billion people practicing this course. It's really small in terms of the sheer number of practitioners, but that actually doesn't matter. Why? You're here. There's one mind. When one person truly forgives, it impacts everybody. Can you imagine if more people did it? Just a thought. We have a choice. Truth or illusion, God or the ego, love or fear, light or dark, life or death. So what is not convenient for the ego to contemplate, and we invite you to contemplate right now, right here, is that, well, if these two choices are diametrically opposed to one another and don't even recognize one another, God doesn't have an opponent because God's the only reality. The ego is a fanciful dream slash nightmare that doesn't exist. And because our choice is total, expect heavy resistance from the ego. All resistance is of the ego. Because when we choose love or fear, one or the other, right now, right here, in the present moment, we're saying one of two things. Either this world is 100% true, it's our home, and this is me, and God is crazy, mad, psychotic, whimsical, violent, hateful, jealous, vindictive, and mean. Yeah, it's that, or this world is a place of madness and it does not exist, and God is the only reality. Which is it? I know. Yeah, that's what we're choosing. I'm certain that you get the magnitude of that choice. And again, it is well worth, as we practice this and fall on our faces a lot, giving ourselves some grace and including yourself in forgiveness. Forgive yourself for dreaming it. Yeah? Recognize that we're not always going to make the choice for God while we're still clinging to our precious sense of individuality. So we find that the ego dies hard, yet it cannot prevail over truth. So the more we let truth be just as it is, the better. The more we extend love to our brother, the better. There are many ways to do this. Even thinking a loving thought is sufficient. The more we forgive, the better. And this is a course in mind training, so we do it over and over again. If you feel like your mind is overwhelmed with stress, hatred, and fear, you could choose to, well, put it this way, overwhelm it with love, suffuse it with truth. Well, these discussions appear to be necessary here in the world because, well, we've said it a few times in this conversation, we're stubborn adult learners. We need to see things presented in multiple different ways, which is why this video series exists. I mean, yeah, you could read a book or you could read a commentary online. This is designed as a supplement for that, another way of getting the message. There are many ways that the Holy Spirit broadcasts a message. This is one of them. Plain and simple. I mean, he speaks to us in many, many different ways. Sometimes it's in words in a language that we can understand. Sometimes it's a thought. That's what it often is a thought or a hunch, so to speak, an intuitive hit, a deep inner knowing. You know what that is. You're intuitive. You're on the path. Actually, everyone's intuitive. There's nothing special about us just because we're here right now. You've just been listening. So keep listening because the Holy Spirit speaks to us in many ways. It could be something that we look at that reminds us of who we are. That walk on the beach, flower, tree, sky, sunset. I don't know. Could be anything. Could be something that you see on the highway on a billboard, or you hear a song lyric or something like that, or a musical note. It could be anything that reminds you of who you are, and you know very well who and what that is. We're known in this course as the Son of God, which we are. That is not an exclusive term that refers only to the historical Jesus. Jesus gave this course. He's teaching us that it's all inclusive. You are the Son of God. There's only one Son of God, and we're all included in that. Furthermore, we're known as the extension of God and referred to as such in this course, the thought of God. And here's something. One very well known, often quoted, and famous idea from this course. Indeed, you could even go so far as to say it's the foundation of this course's thought system, is this idea right here. Ideas leave not their source. Ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Here in the text of A Course in Miracles, it's referred to in many places, workbook, all components of the course, by the way. Yeah, ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. It's used to point out to us that we cannot project our guilt, our fear onto someone else and blame them for our plight because our thoughts remain in our own mind. We can't eject them. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. So, come back to the context we were just in here. Ideas leave not their source. Capital S. Where are you in truth? You have always known. If you feel that, oh my God, that strikes a chord, I have always known. Hmm. Yes, you have always known. So it looks like a process, doesn't it? I mean, it would be fantastic and wonderful and super, super convenient for all of us, wouldn't it? If we just woke up instantaneously. Well, it's not impossible. Is that likely? Well, most of us don't get this experience of experiencing that blinding flash, though. Who knows when that's going to come? We appear to have this process that appears to take time. So, what we have is the present moment. As always, we have this moment to choose the guidance of the Holy Spirit. To choose the guidance of the Holy Spirit again. Oh my God, guess what? To choose the guidance of the Holy Spirit again. Yes, anything that is not wholly joyous is an opportunity to forgive. Anything that rankles you in any way, anything that disturbs your peace of mind. And there's a lot out there. Today and every day, there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. Understatement. Yeah. The material, or you might put it this way, the raw material for awakening is all around us. Let's become aware of it, notice it, and act accordingly. Thank you. So it may feel, and people have commented, and rightly so, that these videos are, well, challenging. Yes, all resistance is of the ego. Expect it. And whoever said that completely flipping your perception right side up, it is upside down, by the way. Flipping it right side up is going to be challenge free. Exactly. Expect it. Along the way, you are invited to ask questions. You're invited to ask them here on this comment thread, should you so choose. It's an international community that's growing, and thank you to all of you who have subscribed and joined us. By the way, that's the subscription prompt. If you would like to join us, I invite you to do that. Click that. You'll be invited to subscribe and join us. And your questions have so much value because there could be somebody, and in fact, I'm sure that there is somebody on the other side of the world who would benefit from a question that you asked. I'm here to serve as a guide for you. And, well, you deserve nothing less than the full on course, what it says, and what it means in a most uncompromising fashion. Expect the ego to scream at you in resistance and will you as much as it can scream at you, shout at you to turn this off, to tell you that pixelated image is dead wrong. How can it be right or wrong? It's a pixelated image. When something lands for you, it's the Holy Spirit. You may 100% count on that. All right. So thank you, as always, for joining me. Again, here's the subscription prompt. Click that, join us, and I will see you again very soon.